First, we will be discussing the history of the NRA. The NRA was founded on November 17, 1871 by Colonel William C. Church and General George Wingate. Colonel Church and General Wingate's aim was to promote safe gun usage and to teach the troops how to properly shoot a gun. The first thing the group ever lobbied for was a shooting range in 1872. In 1903, the NRA became interested in the youth becoming involved in shooting games. Today, youth programs are still a cornerstone of the NRA, with more than 1 million youth participating in NRA shooting sports events. In 1934, the NRA created the Legislative Affairs Division, which at the time only informed their members of policies pertaining to guns. In 1975, the NRA founded the NRA Institute for Legislative Action. The Institute for Legislative Action, ILA for short, is the lobbying arm of the National Rifle Association of America. The ILA is responsible for preserving the right of all law-abiding individuals in the legislative, political, and legal arenas to purchase, possess, and use firearms for legitimate purposes as guaranteed by the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Now that you know more about the history of the NRA, we will talk about the ideology. The NRA was originally founded to create and promote safe usage of firearms. The NRA also helped create acts like the National Firearms Act of 1934 and the Gun Control Act of 1938, which regulated such guns, banned some buyers, and made gun dealers register with the government. But in 1971, the ideology of the organization completely shifted. The organization thought they were being too defensive and not political enough, and thanks to Harlan Carter, the ideology shifted. After Carter became the vice president of the organization, the ideology became more about protecting the Second Amendment and against any type of gun restrictions. The current president of the organization is Carolyn D. Meadows, and she upholds the same values as Carter. Now that you know more about the ideology of the NRA, let's discuss the party and electorate. The NRA is a political group that supports Republican ideology. The NRA is a party and electorate that mobilizes its voters to vote red. The NRA is a party in the electorate because you cannot vote as a member of the NRA. You can only vote as a Republican or Democrat. The NRA uses their platform to mobilize and inform their voters. Another way the NRA tries to help or influence campaigns is through large donations. In the 2016 election, the NRA spent a record number of $75 million, according to an audit obtained by the Center for... Now that we have discussed the party and the electorate, we will now discuss campaign finance. A 501c organization like the NRA is allowed to engage in political lobbying and advocacy, but this cannot be its main activity, and it must be related to the group's primary mission and the issue upon which its tax exemption is based, according to the IRS. Since the NRA is a 501c organization, they can spend their money only on campaign communications. They are not allowed to give money directly to candidates. Reports filed with the Federal Election Commission show that the PAC and nonprofit arms of the NRA spent a combined $54.4 million in the 2016 elections. The NRA is constantly utilizing independent spending to further help the campaigns of Republicans.